All right, I am finally back again, here to give you guys a little bit of a break from Ian. I know he's been swarming the socials and getting out for all of these, but we're back. We're out West Calgary, out on an acreage property today. Just gonna look at some different assemblies. So we got two different patio doors going in, and those are large units. So there'll be the sliding doors and then some window transom units that are going in overhead. So we're gonna see the assembly and kind of sequencing that the guys go through for that. We're gonna do a little bit of cutting the wall back. We got some stucco finish here and see how they clean that up and give us that nice finished look. So we're just applying the spray foam insulation around this freshly installed patio door, got our transom windows overhead. Now we are actually in a pool room right now. So super high humidity, tons of moisture moving through. So these little details become even more important in a space like this than they are in your typical bathroom, shower, those types of spaces. We want to make sure that no moisture is getting in anywhere around this frame. And this gentleman here is making sure that that's exactly what we do. This here is the old patio sliding door that's been taken out. So you can see this one was just a single slider. We have a double slider now. Still getting the two transom lights above the door. This one is a nail fin assembly. So this was pinned behind the stucco and got that taken out. And then what we can see is that this is a wood frame assembly in behind here. Now again, this one was taken out of the pool house room. So a lot of humidity, a lot of moisture. The wood product isn't going to be the best in that location. We can see at the top here how over the years, moisture has moved from inside the pool room, kind of got caught at the face of the window here, condensed and saturated the wood frame. And over time that will start to rot and deteriorate. This is in decent condition, but yeah, definitely worth replacing, getting the vinyl in there, and we're doing an upgrade from double pane to triple pane. This is some nice details here that we can look at. So on the outside one, we can see the freshly applied spray foam all the way out to this exterior face. And then here we have the stucco, and you can see that the guys have come through and they've marked this. So we're gonna cut this back. The homeowners opted for an aluminum trim. So that's gonna go on the surround here. And yeah, this will get a nice clean cut, nice clean line all the way around. Hopefully very straight, very clean. Yeah, the homeowner did opt for the aluminum trim on this one. We also offer smartboard, so engineered wood product. Do recommend that in most cases. When you're doing a renovation type project, walls are never straight, things are crooked, a little out of alignment. So with the wood product, you can kind of massage that a little bit to make that appear visually more straight and clean on the finished aesthetic. But with the aluminum, it's a little more fit to exactly what's already there. So, okay, this one very exciting. We mentioned at the start they were doing two patio door installations. So we've already got one replacing the existing patio door on the pool room. But here we're installing the second patio door, and we actually just have a window section here. So these guys are going to replace that with an operable patio door, making this space accessible from the living area. And we're going to do that. We're going to cut the window frame and framing below all the way down to the surface of the deck here basically, and then get a sliding patio door in there. And then again, we're going to add the transom over top afterwards, so we still get that nice light and everything coming through. And then one thing to add is that on these patio doors, the reason that we do the transom, or for any larger window that we do the transom, is there's kind of a limit in the operation of these windows, that you don't want to be maneuvering a large, 8 or 9 foot tall sliding door. It gets a little heavier, a little more sticky. So you do the standard kind of 6'8" to 7 foot door, and then add that glazing above. Just finished speaking with the homeowner, trying to get a feel for how old the property is. So to start, this property is around 20 years old. They've owned this for the last 10 years, but It implies a lot. Probably all of the windows and doors are original, so 20 years old, getting towards that end of lifespan. So today we're only doing the patio doors, but a lot of these windows will be reaching kind of the end of lifespan age very soon here. As well, we talked to them about just what led to choosing Ecoline windows and doors. And they did say that, you know, they had some recommendations from friends. They looked at 3 or 4 different contractors, and overall, Ecoline was just the smoothest process. Their pricing was good, and that led to them selecting them for this job, essentially. So this is one of the old windows that's been removed. So you can see this is the operable piece, the casement there that's opening up. But we can see just how thin the frame is. It doesn't have those air chambers that we see on the Ecoline windows that help with the insulation, not through the glazing, but around the frame of the window. You can see kind of the weather stripping, and first strip here is getting a little worn. And then again, we only have double pane. So not terrible. We're not replacing old single pane metal windows, but always room for improvements. We can see here that these guys have to actually remove each of these insulated glass units, your IGUs. So this one already taken out, but each one of these have to be removed independently. And then we're seeing them ship the glass over around the corner there. And then once those are all out, we can start dismantling the rest of the frame. I gotta pry the vinyl frame open here. And I can't get any insulation. So yeah, the bat is in there pretty deep. I can see it just a little bit, but it's probably, oh geez, I don't even know if it's behind this part of the window glazing frame. So it's maybe all the way at the front, not offering a lot of insulation, definitely not providing an air seal. Look at that unprotected sill. Poor practice. But another key feature on the Ecoline windows, you can see here, this is a large window, a little bit of a older window, but you have 3 latching mechanisms that you have to operate to open this window. So the difference now with Ecoline modern mechanisms is you have one, and then inside the frame there's a mechanism that catches the lock on multiple points. So you still get the same security of having multiple latch points, but you don't have the nuisance of having to do it 3 times. So quality of life improvement. Small, but it's important. That's what you're getting. Just that little string of insulation on old windows. Anything 20 plus years ago, very likely gonna be insulated just like that. And then on the inside here, you got nothing but dead air space that's subject to having moisture condense in it, cold drafts. Again, that's not providing an air seal. So it's gonna be a nice improvement to have the spray insulation applied around the new patio door. Right now, guys, just finished cutting that part of the window at least. So right now they're running up the side of the window, cutting off that fin that makes the nail fin component to separate the rest of the window frame from that part that remains kind of behind the stucco there. So that's what's gonna allow them to pull this out. And then we can see over here how that's progressing later, and they're cutting back more of the stucco so that they can get the trim applied and in a nice even manner. Yeah, kind of interesting because you can see that's just the cap. So this is really 8 individual windows, kind of all pieced together. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 windows. So, and then it's just hidden with that little piece of trim to give it that finished look, but that's all you're seeing here. Now, because we're going from a window to a patio door, we got a little bit more prep work than we're used to. So normally we see this sill here, get our 3M flashing membrane spread across the top. In this case, that sill is coming right out. We're gonna take out all the supporting wood frame members and probably take out the bottom plate here. And then our 3M instead is just gonna come up at the floor level on top of either our plywood or OSB sheathing on the floor. And then it's important to note, like, we still have the same structure around the window that's supporting it. We're not changing any of that. So you still have the same stud framing, your same lintel header, all of that is staying consistent. Just taking this bottom part out and dropping it to the floor a little more. All right, so really cool here, as I mentioned, on the patio door, they're putting an aluminum trim around it. And what these guys are doing right now is measuring that, and then they're bending and forming that for the window. So all that's being manually fit and done here in the Ecoline trailer. So you can see this is taking a lot more time than just a wood composite or engineered wood product trim where you measure, cut it, stick it on the wall. For this, every bend they have to do manually. So all those little contours, that each of these pieces of metal, they're bending multiple times. So a little bit more labor, a little bit more work if you're going this route. Custom shaped, custom fit. All right, so here you can see the formed aluminum trim. So each of these bends have been put in manually by the Ecoline team here. That just comes from this sheet of metal here. So that is your before and your after, nicely formed to your new patio window or patio door or window. We can see them cutting through the stucco here. And the thing that really makes this such a pain is on the stucco, you have this wire mesh that's used to hold that stucco compound against the wall. And that's what we're gonna cut through. So we have the stucco material, but then also a wire mesh that every so often we have to cut through a solid piece of metal essentially. So a little behind the scenes process here. So right now he's just drilling through the wall, kind of marking so that on this side we can see where the bottom plate is so that we're not over cutting the stucco and exposing more of the wall than is needed to get this new patio door in. So earlier I think we mentioned, I believe the house to be around 20 years old, but we got the manufacturer's stamp here on the OSB sheathing. So we got a 1999, so this is a 26-year-old home. So windows are around 6 years older than we originally anticipated. Right now we're just getting that aluminum trim on that we looked at. So when we looked at that profile, there was a short side and a long side. So that short side will match up on the stucco side here where we have a little bit more of a projecting face. It'll just go in behind the stucco, meet the finished wood sheathing of the wall. And then on the interior side where we had that longer flange of the profile, that's what's gonna go in, meet the window, and make it look like this was always part of the window and this was one manufactured unit that just got dropped in there. Okay, we're just putting the final shims in now. This is what's gonna help keep this in place and also give us that nice straight profile, give us a clean separation line between the actual patio door and that trim member there. We have a test piece here, I'm assuming. So that's, again, you can see the two different sample pieces and how this long groove goes in on that door frame side, and then that short groove is meant to match up with the stucco. So that's an important detail to make sure that we get a nice finished look and make sure it's not, cantered off to the side and you got an ugly corner or something. So we're just noticing while we're standing here that the one window on the side here looks like it's dipped a little bit in the middle. So we're just gonna check, do a little eye test, see if they're still working and if this window here is truly bowed down in the middle with a level test. And we can see that that is in fact true. So solid home inspector eye. You can see the gap kind of starting over there, widening towards the middle here, maybe about a 1/4 inch, and then we're sitting flush again on the outside here. Earlier, I mentioned there would be additional prep work that goes into swapping these windows out for a patio door. Part of that did include removing the sill here. So we can see we're right down to the floor sheathing. Now, with the sill in place, we had a 103-inch clear opening here. The new patio door and window assembly system is 103.5. So we were a little short there. So we pull out 1.5 inch here on the sill plate. Now we're up to 104.75. So that's gonna give us a little play on all sides here. So we can get some shims underneath with insulation, and same at the header there so that we're getting an insulated surround on the new assembly. You can see now that everything's been taken out, we don't have that same continuous sill that we had on the window. So instead, we're framing or putting our new window right down on the floor frame. And it's gonna be even more important here that we get that 3M membrane on, because as you can see, there's spacing between the plywood underneath. So there's gaps and areas of potential entry for moisture or water. If you had snow buildup here, that starts to melt, seep in, there's potential that that leaks into the space below us. So very important that we get the 3M membrane on at this location. All right, so they're just getting that, again, piece of aluminum that they formed in the trailer here, in this case at the sill level of the patio. And you can see this is creating a nice flashing material that's covering the engineered wood trim below, covering the 3M membrane, and allowing some kind of kick out for any moisture or rain that is kind of gonna hit this surface. So just a nice finishing detail to wrap this up. I expressed my concerns with the gaps in the flooring plank, and of course, Ecoline crew to the rescue. He's now filling these with silicone. He's filling at the jam ends as well, so that's a common entry point we see for water penetration. But yeah, we're getting this all sealed up and prepped for new sill, for a new patio door. Right now, we're just screwing down this OSB for the new sill, and it's important to note that they are screwing these down. That's gonna make a better connection between this new piece of lumber and the existing system. Whereas if we use a nail gun, we just have small nails, more potential for those to pop up, for the board to deform or warp if there is any water intrusion. So yeah, just nice to see the fastener choice is important. Here we are cutting our jumps, which I just learned is another term for jam extension, and jumps specifically meaning on the interior side. So this will go on the surround of the window, and then on the exterior, that's where we have the brick mold. So that's the delineation between those two. These guys are just moving the transom window piece right now. So that's the piece that'll go on top of the actual sliding patio doors. Making sure we orient it the right way, it looks like. Up here, this is the new patio door that will go in. And then as we move all the way in here, we can see that they've done a really nice job of treating this sill. So again, we're not just ripping something out, putting something back in. Ecoline's taking the care to really make sure that this is done right. We got a nice metal flashing edge that's protruding out. And then this whole thing, the new OSB and the metal flashing are lapped with the 3M membrane. So it's gonna provide a nice watertight sill. We're just applying some silicone along the top of the window here. So that's gonna create a seal between the two window components, the patio sliding door and the transom window. So they're gonna lift that up, get it secured on there, fasten those two pieces together, and then this whole unit is gonna come into this big opening. Today, we have a special episode with Ecoline Windows of Welcome to My Crib. So come on in and check out my place. This is my pool room, of course. Not really. This isn't my pool room. This isn't my house, not my crib. But we did have the privilege of being here today to install a couple new sliding glass patio doors. So a little upgrade from the original. There was just a single slider. A lot more grand welcome to my crib type environment. We had two of these go in today. So beautiful finish. This was the only project for Ecoline today, was two big patio doors, but it was a big project, a lot of work, a lot of prep going into it. So it was nice to see something a little different, a little bit of variety, and also see that Ecoline can take on different scales of projects, whether it's windows, entry doors, patio, sliding doors, they've got you covered. And recently, Ecoline's also made themselves available in Home Depots. This, I believe, was a Costco purchase, so also available in your Costco's and coast to coast, Canada-wide, not just in Calgary. We have nice new screen doors here, so our one-finger sliders, very smooth operation. Nice thing on these ones is that there's a locking mechanism, so when those are closed, you can have just the screen locked. And then same thing on the sliding glass. Nice big units, slide very easily, very smooth, and just an easy traditional turn lock here. So nice mechanism, a lot of security, beautiful new doors. Okay, the guys just finished adding the jam extensions or jumps, securing those, so that took a little bit, but now the four of them are moving this assembly into the opening here. So it's a pretty heavy, large size assembly. Needs all four members here with their hands on it, getting it into that opening. Turns out I needed 5 team members to help out, so jumped in. We're just wrapping up the day here with Ecoline. So again, this project, we had 2 large patio doors that we were installing. One, we replaced an existing patio door that was just a single slider with these double sliders behind me. And you can see the size of it. It's got 2 big side lights as well as the transom lights overhead. And then the second one, we actually replaced a window with a new patio sliding door. So same style, 2 side lights, double slider that's gonna open up that living space onto the balcony here a lot smoother. This one in particular was a Costco project, so the contract was facilitated through them, but Ecoline is also available at Home Depots now as well, and that is not just local to Calgary. Right now we're outside Calgary, just a little west of the city, but it's coast to coast across Canada. So have a look for Ecoline, whether it's their headquarters, in your Costco or in your Home Depots.